Well, hello, good evening, and welcome to the first joint Trans-European Division and Inter-European Division Media and Communications Seminar of 2024. I'd like to give you a really, really warm welcome and trust you had a good event season and that the year's got off to a good start. Tonight, we are going to give this seminar series a kickstart. It's going to be intensely practical because it's led by Doreen Lohr, who currently lives in Strasbourg. And you may remember that at GAIN 2022, she was the recipient of a GAIN Media and Communication Award for her contribution to digital evangelism. And so we thought it would be great to get Doreen in to start at the beginning of this year by sharing with us basically what I call the democratization of media ministries, where you and I can do something on this. And I have actually been with a film producer today, and he's making a professional film for the Irish Mission, and he's doing brilliantly, and he's got his cameras and he's got his lights and he's got the mics, but that's good and it has its place because he is doing a 60-minute film documentary, bless him. But you could also do a film and communicate another way. And Doreen is gifted at this. She currently teaches drama to nursing students. And again, that's a fascinating world to live in. And we just want to thank you for coming tonight, Doreen. And we really look forward to you sharing with us your giftedness to help us become as gifted as you. But before we share what you've got to offer, I'm going to ask Paolo, my colleague in the European Division, if he'd open with a word of prayer.
Thank you, David. And it's very good to see you all here. Let's start with a prayer then. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the opportunity of coming together and also for the opportunity of serve you. And thank you also for helping us to learn more about how to use the new technologies that you have put at a place for this generation to serve you well in evangelization too. Please be with Doreen, and thank you for all the presence here. May you bless us all to learn from you and to serve you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Paolo. The time is yours, Doreen. Welcome.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. I'm going to share my screen because I have a PowerPoint that I worked on, and I really want to show it to you. Okay, can you see all right?
Yep.
Okay. So thank you for the introduction. So as you can hear, I'm French, and French people are not the best at talking any other language than French, so bear with me. So here are my different accounts. They are all called Christian but practical. And this is how I wanted to create them. In 2022, I really wanted to take my talents and share the gospel and serve God. And I figured the best way to do that was through social media. So that's what I did. I opened, can you see my, this thing moving?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is my YouTube account, this is my TikTok account, and this is my Instagram account. To be honest, when I opened these accounts, I worked on it without rest. I worked really hard. So you may know that managing only one account is actually a job, but naively, I thought that I could manage the three of them while having my real job. It didn't work. I ended up burned out around June 2023. Then I took 2 months off and I thought about it. I realized that while I was working on all that, I was doing things for God instead of doing them with Him. So I decided to change my logic and to have what I would call God is my boss logic. I just fired myself and I took God as my boss. And it's getting way better since then. I actually have way more followers and views than I used to. And I developed my logic throughout this time. So, as Christian influencers, we have kind of a unique perspective because if you follow any course for getting better at Instagram, the goal is to gain followers and get more views. But for us, the goal is first to share the gospel and to please the Lord. So, but it's hard because gaining followers and getting more views is actually a way to share the gospel. So we have to have a balance between these 2 points. And here's my first advice: don't be too smart about it. I used to be too smart about it. I really thought that getting followers and getting views wouldn't be an issue for me, but it certainly became an issue for me, and it's still something that I need to be careful about. And as I said, doing things with God, not for Him. So now that I gave you a little bit more about the context, let me go through the hard topic: how to reel. Let's get down to business. And here's the first step. It's actually the first step, but it can also be the second step. I'll tell you why later. So the first step is to get a topic, actually. Just think about it. You need to know what you want to talk about. Oh, just a minute, I'm getting my notes. So you need to know what you want to talk about. And the tip is to talk about things from your point of view. Don't try to be an expert. So I know it's easy for me to say because I'm not an expert in any theological theme, but you might be an expert. But the thing is that nowadays it's really easy to find an expert in any topic, but it's way harder to find real people, people that are real and raw, that are okay being vulnerable. So talk about things from your perspective. It's really important because people need to have a connection with you through screen. I actually have an example. So this is a French YouTuber. Oh, also, I forgot to tell you, sometimes my example are not from Instagram, but it's the same logic. So this is a French YouTuber. The channel is called Poisson Fécond. It could be translated into fruitful fish, which is kind of a funny name. And that guy that you can see, he's really into intellectual things. And the first series of videos that he made were called small courses. And nobody watched his videos because nobody wanted to watch a course. So he thought about it. It was hard at first, but he thought about it. And then he changed his way of thinking and he started to make another series of videos that were called Things According to Chris, because his name is Chris. And because it was personal, people started to watch, and he could talk about random things and people would watch. And he made thousands of views, and nowadays he's making millions of views. So it might be hard on your ego because you might want to teach things, but think about high schoolers when they're in class. I have a sister. She's actually a high school teacher, and she can tell you that she can teach anything, but the only thing that will interest her students all the time without fail is when she talks about her personal life. So that's really important. Of course, I'm not saying that you should turn your social medias into a reality show, but even if you think about the Bible, one of the best way the Bible is teaching us is through real stories of the biblical characters. And sometimes these stories are really raw and hard. So think about that. Then the second step, that can be also the first step, is to get an aesthetic. Instagram is really big on aesthetic. I think it's the social media that is the most about getting things pretty. So to have ideas, I would encourage you to actually watch some reels. You can also watch some TikTok, some shorts on YouTube, but you have to watch some for yourself. It's like you can't be a good writer if you don't read anything. You have to be a reader before you are a writer. It's the same thing with creating reels. You have to watch some. So have fun. Have fun watching reels. And doing the aesthetic first can be a way to grow your faith. And I actually have a personal example for that. So here are a few videos that I made. They are from TikToks, but I also put them on Instagram. And so the first one on the left, I just wanted to vlog. I just wanted to take my camera and just film throughout my day. And I didn't really know what I wanted to talk about. The only thing I wanted was to document an appointment that I had at the hospital. And I just prayed right before I left. And I was like, okay, God, just give me your lens and give me the lessons you want me to learn throughout my day. And then I just edited the video and I took out the lessons that God showed me, which was being vulnerable, because when you go to the hospital, you're really vulnerable. The second video, it's actually way more easier. I was just watching this really great statues and I just wrote, "This is how I feel when I know that God is with me." The second one, it's quite the same. So it's my fiance that you can see. And I just wrote, "This is how I feel when I remember that whatever I say, whatever I think, whatever I do, God would always love me." So yeah, it's a great way to just let God show you the lessons that He wants to teach you. Then you have the third step, which is actually record your video. So I cannot stress that enough. Always use your own camera, never the Instagram tool. And if you are doing videos on YouTube or TikTok, it's the same advice. Always use your own camera. Never record with the Instagram or the TikTok or the YouTube tool. Because you'll get limited first, and then it's not strategic, and I'll tell you why later. You can write down your video, especially if you want to make a fancy one. I'm really bad at writing videos, I'm not gonna lie. But I usually get back at it with the editing part. So you just have to choose what suits you the most. Then the fourth step, it's actually to edit your video. So like I said with the recording part, never, ever, ever edit your video on Instagram or on TikTok or on Shorts. Because, well, I'll tell you why later. But I would say the best tool for me, the best tool to edit is called CapCut. It's either an app or a website, and it's really great to edit videos for social medias. If you are making like great videos like documentary that are really long, you wouldn't want to use CapCut. But for social medias, it's actually really, really great. To be honest, I'm just scratching the surface, but I wanted to show you what CapCut can do. So there's this influencer, French influencer, and she's doing short films. And all this she did with CapCut. So all the effects, all the written parts, she did all with CapCut. So you can do pretty amazing things with that tool, as you can see. Okay, so editing your video is a job on itself. So it's really hard to tell you right now how to do things, but I have a few tips for you. The first one is take care of your tempo. I'm a drama teacher, but first I'm a comedian. And as a comedian, I learned how to manage my silences, my language tics. As you might have noticed that I use a lot of when I'm talking, which is really French. But when I am filming a video and when I'm editing it, I have to get rid of all the even if my videos are in French, because you can't talk like you're talking in real life. You have to it has to be faster. The silences too, they have to be they have to be less long. And I'm using the word tempo on purpose because to me it's really like a song where words need to be said at the right moments to be impactful. The second tip is to add subtitles. Some of your viewers won't have the sound while they are scrolling on Instagram. So if you don't have subtitles, they just won't watch your videos. And then you have to add up the punchline attitude. That's how I call it. This is actually a great advice when you're shooting too. Your audience only have a few minutes and sometimes a few seconds for you. It's not the time or the place to make a sermon. So just picture yourself facing the most unfocused teenager. How would you talk to him so he can hear you out? And I actually have a bonus tip. If you're doing a good job interesting your audience, you can later draw it to a longer video on YouTube, for example, watching the sermon I was talking about. And then you put your video on Instagram. While you put your video on Instagram, it's not an obligation, but you might want to take care of your cover. So here's what I mean by cover. So on the top left, it's my account. As you see, there's kind of a logic. On every picture, I have some shades of blue. And anytime that I'm writing something, I'm writing it in the same yellow and in the same, how do you say, like writing. You have other examples, but I wanted to show you in real life. So this is a Christian influencer, a French Christian influencer. And as you can see, it's really logical. There is always the same color, the same mood. And she's quite known for that. As I said, Instagram is really into pretty things. So don't forget about that. Also on the bottom right, I gave you an example of it's an account about news. So it's not as pretty as the others, but there's still this logic. So you put your video on Instagram. Your video doesn't belong to you anymore. It's for your viewers, so they're gonna watch it, they're gonna make you some feedbacks, and then you can grow from there. I have a few bonus tips for you. The first one is to consider other social medias like TikTok and YouTube. As you probably know, TikTok and YouTube now have short video too. And they are kind of at war with each other, especially Instagram and TikTok. So that's why I told you to record and edit your video on another app than the app you're going to post it on. Because if you put a video on Instagram, what's going to happen is that you can take it back, like record it in your phone to put it on TikTok. But the problem is your video will be marked as an Instagram video, and TikTok or YouTube is gonna see that, and because of that, you're not gonna get a lot of views because they'll be like, no, I don't want any Instagram videos. So that's why. Also, if you are planning on making an account that is not in English, you have to be prepared because it takes way more time when it's not in English. I actually have a friend who his job is to manage Instagram accounts, and he told me that if my accounts were in English, I would have been able to make a living out of it. And it's really not the case right now. So it takes way more time. So if it's your case, we are in this together. But I would advise to not sleep on other languages. Right now in France, we are learning a lesson. A few years ago, everybody thought that it was pointless to make some worship music in French, because we would thought that there would be no audience that would listen to that. It wouldn't be a good deal. So what happened was that many of African people from French-speaking countries created songs, and now it works really well. There is a big audience, and French people are way behind because we thought that it would be pointless. It's actually not, and we learned that there's always an audience for God, actually. And the last bonus tip is to keep an eye on your statistics and feedbacks. So I'll give you an example. So these are my own statistics. The first one is in August 2023. The number here is about the accounts that I reached in August 2023. And the number here, as you can see, it grow in January 2024. So you have to keep an eye on that. Don't obsess on it because it can be addictive. But keep an eye on it because it can help you create like better videos or posts and all this kind of stuff. The feedback I was talking about, I also learned that a few days ago on TikTok. I thought I knew what my audience wanted to hear or see, and it was actually really not true, because one day I didn't have any inspiration, I didn't know what to post, so I decided to make a trend about being Adventist. I was just being funny with my friends. I didn't think about it a lot, and I just posted it. And in like 2 weeks, I gained about 100 followers because of that very video. And I really realized that people were really interested in what being an Adventist meant. So I decided to use that more and just answer questions about that. Okay. So this is where this is my conclusion, actually. I wanted to let you this account. She's not Adventist, but she gave me really, really great example if you are learning to build your audience. It's on TikTok, on Instagram, and on YouTube. She's doing a really great content. It's all in English, and you can check it out. And don't forget, while you are building your account, creating all of that, to let God take the wheel, because it's really a great adventure with Him. And have fun. Have fun, because if you're not having fun, it's actually a great way to realize that you're not letting God take the wheel. Because I do think that when you let God take the wheel, you get a lot of joy back. So that's all for me.
Hello, Doreen. Thank you. That is tremendous. And I confess, I see the comedian coming through. How to reel. Don't forget to let God take the wheel. That's marvelous. And maybe before we close today, right at the end, we need to just discover a little bit more about what sent you into comedy and humor, because that's interesting. Quite a unique perspective. From a Christian point of view, but I want to first of all start to ask you tonight about the point you made about getting things pretty, the aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're saying that if you're going to start being a successful reeler, you've got to make something beautiful. It's got to look impressive. I presume that's because there's a lot of competition out there, right? You've got to make an impact, and people won't accept rubbish. Do you want to elaborate on that a bit?
Well, it's not that well, sometimes you have some videos that are not that pretty that work, but usually on Instagram, at least, it's what is expected. Instagram at first were an app where people were sharing pictures, beautiful pictures. So it's really in the DNA of the app to have beautiful things, but you don't have to think too much about it. Just think about having a nice quality for your video. Don't and try things. You have to try things. It's actually pretty frustrating, because you have to try, even if you even well, we are not graphic designer, so you have to learn to make things the way you can find them on Instagram. Also, a great tip when you are testing things out are the color wheel. So I don't know if you know about that, but the color wheel will give you colors that go together. For example, the blue. Let me think about it. No, not the blue. I'm forgetting about the blue, but the green goes really well with the red. There are colors that go together, and yet they do not blend. So if you have a picture that is green, you can write things in red, so it would stand out. I don't know if it was clear.
Well, there was I think, Paolo, there's a related question, isn't there? From Timo.
Well, yes, we have a question from Timo right now from Finland, and nice to see you, Timo. The question is, Doreen, do you do any color grading or just use the footage from your camera as it is?
No, I just use yes, I just use the footage of my camera. I just scratched the surface about color grading for my YouTube video, and I'm still learning, so it takes me way too much time to do it anytime that I'm doing a video.
Can I make a question, David?
Yeah, sure.
At the beginning, Doreen, you started talking about the profile of people that to which you are reeling to. Let's say it this way. What about topics? Do you have some hints on main topics and trends that you find that people may be more interested in from your perspective, from your point of view?
Well, you can always check out on trends. That's what I did on TikTok. That's why I do a lot on TikTok, because TikTok is quite big on trends. You can check take these trends. Sometimes it's just, you know, taking a short part of a song and just applying it to your topic. You have, well, before choosing the topic for your post, you have to have a topic for your all account. So I don't know. For example, my topic is talking about Jesus in a creative way. And I'm turning actually little by little about being a Christian artist, but I'm not there yet. So I will, for example, I had a question about why we Adventist people don't believe in hell. And I decided to answer with some kind of a spoken words. It's a tiny bit of poetry that I wrote, and I just answered like that because I wanted it to be artistic, and the message was that I am a Christian artist. So it has to be framed in the main topic that is your account.
Okay, I have a couple of more, David. And Andreas Mazza from Italy also have as a question, but let's leave it a little bit to the end because it's a nice one to finish. My question is, what about two questions, in fact. What about the moments that you usually do your reels? Do you have a favorite day, a favorite time of the day? When do you think that people visit the most? For us and institutional communicators, this is relevant.
Mm-hmm.
What's your feeling?
Well, first of all, think about when people are free. When you are opening your accounts, you don't have any statistics yet. So think about when people are free. Usually, if you put a reel out on Monday around 2 p.m. or 3 p.m., there are not a lot of people on social media at that time because most of the time they are working. So think about that. And then while you are building your accounts, you will start to have statistics, and you can see on Instagram when your audience is most likely able to see what you put out. For me, for example, it's on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night. Be careful about Sunday because we think that people don't work, so they would be available, but usually they're not. It's not the time that they are on their phone. It's usually at night around 6, 7, or 8 p.m. During the weekdays. But it can be different because it also depends on who you're talking to. If you're talking to mothers, the like stay-at-home mothers, they're how will I say that? They're the moment when they are available is not the same than for I don't know people that work a 9 to 5. So it can change. So usually when you start, you just stick to what's logical, and then when you grow your accounts, you just trust your statistics.
Thank you. And we have a question from Jim Botta from Scotland. Hi, Jim. The question is there the longest time for a good reel? What's the maximum time that you think it's the best one?
Well, for me, it's at least 30 seconds. Well, I heard a lot that short reels work the best. For me, it's not the case. The one that worked the best were between 30 seconds and 1 minute. Again, it depends on your audience. You have to test it out.
Okay, so let's say that the top would be 1 minute, and between 30 seconds and 1 minute, right?
Well, the reel, you can't have a reel that lasts more than 1 minute and 30 seconds. You can put a video on Instagram that will last longer, but then it's not a reel anymore. It's a video.
Another question. It's not here, but it's connected to this one. How do you decide to make a reel or a story on Instagram?
Can you elaborate that question?
you have a reel that you post as a reel itself, a story slash for just one for the hours about one day in Instagram. How do you set on both of them?
I'm sorry, I still don't
You
get it.
you think you put all your reels as stories on Instagram, right?
Oh, yes,
You
yes.
do the same on TikTok, right? What
No.
about in YouTube to stay? Oh no, so that's a question. How do you decide on
Okay,
the
okay.
length?
So, the story, yes, I didn't really talk about the story part of it. So when you post something, always put it in your story, because there are viewers that will just watch stories, because stories are kind of a closer look to the influencer. It's a way to know him better. Well, that's what people think. It's a way to see also backstages. For example, I have 2 videos on my YouTube account that are each 20 minutes, and I documented all the backstage on my story on Instagram, because people love to see that. They love to see the backstage. I also have a dog, and my dog is really the star of my story. Because yeah, it's the story is the backstage to anything that you create. And when you are doing a reel, especially a fancy one, it's nice to put like the process of creating the reel in the story. And the best is to actually have all the backstage and to see, okay, so you saw the backstage, here's the final product, so people are more involved.
Thank you so much. That was sorry for not framing it well. That was precisely the question. Eunice Manikbaz has made a question too. Hi Doreen, do you have any tips for a beginner who wants to start a music worship account rather than a vlog type of content? So a music worship account.
Well, I don't think that it doesn't work. I mean, you can have vlog on a music content. I think that vlog is not a topic on itself. It's actually a way to see backstage. So I actually have a great answer for that. I wrote a musical with some friends, and we are looking to create an account for that musical. So we are planning all the posts that we want to make. And so it's a Christian musical, so we have to be able to show that. And for example, the first content that I thought about was, hey, I'm just gonna record the when we are recording the voices, and just put it in the video that lasts at least 30 seconds. We have like 20 characters, so it's really not that hard. And I just compile all these extract, and then I put it on Instagram, just simply like that. Or if you so I created the whole story, and I also planned to post some verse that inspired the story, just like verse that inspired the story, and then you write the verse. Or you can also okay, let me think about it. You can obviously have covers. If you are talking about music, you might want to sing, so please show us you singing with like you, or you with other people, or just other people. So it's actually having an account for music, it's really great, because the possibility are endless.
Well, I am sure that Eunice got her answer. Well, she's showing now precisely with the heart. So there is, I don't know if there is a question from Dimitar, YouTube, TikTok, even Instagram has algorithm for copyright music. You can't use music so easy. Yes, that's true. Do you have some hints on copyrights that you could give us?
Well, first, when you are using music for a short time, usually it works. Well, when you're doing reels, usually you have the how do you say that? The possibility to choose a music. So usually when it's short, it's okay. But then for myself, I just take my mic and I just sing. I just use, it's just my voice. There's no music on the background. Or you can have, if you can play any instrument, you can just add the instrument, and it's just, obviously it's not your song, but it's you who is singing the song. So then you have no problem.
Then you start having the copyrights for yourself. So that's a good idea.
Yes. Right.
Are there any more questions that you would like to make to Doreen? I have one still from Andreas. I'm going to ask you now. Can you tell us something about the most inspiring feedbacks you had so far? Do you have some experience, some inspiring comment that you had to inspire us too?
Let me think. I have so much. Actually, like not a long time ago, following the TikTok I made about being an Adventist, I had so many comments that were saying, "Hey, I'm an Adventist. I'm so glad that I found someone who is talking about being an Adventist," or just, "I'm really proud on being an Adventist." So there there is a community, and it's really great because anytime that there were people that were not okay with what I was saying, who are or they were trying to show me how I was wrong for keeping the Sabbath or not believing in hell, usually in the comments I had the new Adventist people that tried to that not tried that started to follow me. They were answering, and what was really great is that most of the time they were really kind, like really really kind and really open-minded and respectful. Some of them were a little bit harsh, but most of the time they were really kind. So there is there is a community that is, it's actually more blessing for me than it is for them, because there is a community that is surrounding me, and it's really great.
Thank you. We didn't think of it, David, but maybe for the version to put it on the TED YouTube channel, we can use the video from Doreen that won the prize in Game 22. Is that all right, Doreen?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be great. So can I ask, Doreen, just to expand a little bit more, words need to be said at the right moment to make an impact. I'm sort of connecting that with the preachers among us as well. You know, we it's the same applies for us, doesn't it? But what do you mean by that?
It's okay, so there are different way of saying things. When you are reading like a verse, for example, you can just like, the Lord is my shepherd. It's Psalm 23. You can just say, the Lord is my shepherd. Or you can say, the Lord is my shepherd. And then it makes sense. You see what I mean? You have to think about where you want to pose, and every single word that you say have to be intentional. That's actually a theater stuff. So yeah, so think it like that.
So again, the more dramatic license you have, or the more dramatic power you have, that will make a greater impact.
Yes, but don't try to fake it.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Because it would be worse. But think about how you want to say things, and put meaning in every word that you are saying.
Okay, thank you. Are there any more questions, Paolo, before we begin to wrap up?
No,
Okay.
not.
So I do want to ask you about your whole ministry and the big picture of why you do what you do. And you said earlier that, and I quote, I don't do things to please the Lord, I do things with God, you said. Now, that's a very key aspect of when we come to sharing faith. I'd love to hear a bit more about that.
Well, to be real with you, so I'm a drama teacher, but I can't. I'm not working full time because the job that they offer me is not full time. So I have another job that allows me to make video on YouTube, but this job is not full time too. So I'm not working full time. So I kind of wanted to keep some space for this mission that I think I have. But it has been hard. It has been really, really hard because, as I told you, I worked on this since 2022. It's been a while, and people are asking questions, and I've been doubting a lot. So that's why I tried to work that hard. That's why I ended up burned out because um, I was working really hard, and usually my day would start around 10 a.m. and it would end around 2 a.m. That was my day for a long time. Um, but I realized that this is not how God is working with us. This is not how He wants me to work. This is not the length He wants me to go. So I'm learning that. I'm also learning to trust Him because I it took, well, my self-esteem really was really down for a while because I wasn't really a real adult. I had a lot of people asking, so when will you start to like really work? And I was getting old. I mean, you can't really see it, but I'm 30 years old. um, and I was really thinking about like when will like the real life begin. I'm doing all these things to you, for you, God, and it doesn't work. People are not watching my videos. People are not seeing what I'm doing, and I'm working and I'm working, and it just doesn't work. So I just decided to stop, to be like, okay, that's all on you now. And then that's when I started to see results. I'm not there yet. I wish it would go faster, and sometimes I relapse. But that's really what I'm trying to let God be my boss and just being an employer and following what He wants me to do. And to be honest, I don't really know where I'm going exactly, but I'm just trusting Him.
And do you use comedy in your reels? And also, do you communicate the gospel through comedy? It's like sort of laughing at ourselves. How does it work?
Well, actually, I'm really bad at making people laugh. I'm more in the drama. But usually, I'm using the way of talking, as I told you, like putting emphasis on words. I'm also using spoken word poetry. That's the most drama I'm doing. But where I had the most like drama was when I'm working on the musical project that I was talking about.